Good afternoon, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this session on IT titled Digital Transformation, Leveraging Digital Technologies to Enable Post-COVID Business Recovery. My name is Arun Karna and I'm the MD and CEO for AT&T in India. Please allow me a couple of minutes to set the context here before I turn over the mic to our galaxy of speakers who are here on the panel. So we all know that over the last 12 to 15 months, ever since the pandemic has hit us, we are seeing the adoption of digital technologies really increase significantly. What has clearly emerged is that those enterprises or businesses that were early in the adoption of digital technologies or had not yet embarked on their digital journeys, they suffered in comparison. Whereas those enterprises who were fairly mature or fairly way down in their digital journey, those businesses not only survived, but they thrived as well. So actually they opened up a gap between themselves and their competitors. And the examples are there for all to see. For example, online commerce and marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart, Big Basket online groceries, IT services companies, online media and entertainment. In fact, all businesses which leverage digital tech, they grew. Look at EduTech, for example, how it has really come to the fore and has been instrumental in keeping our education system really going and given it wheels, so to speak. Look at FinTech, and we have experts on FinTech here, with really galvanizing the economy in a sense with, payment gateways, the ability to pay anywhere and in any form, so to speak, and health tech, connecting patients to doctors in these pandemic times on a virtual basis, contactless technologies that has helped us survive, all those have come to the fore. So fair to say that the dependency on digital technologies has increased significantly across the world. And now we have this new nomenclature or term coming forth called phygital. This is really blurring the boundaries between the physical and the digital. And more so the pace of change, the adoption of these technologies and the pace of change that has come about. So how will this trend pan out and how deep a role will digital technologies play in the post-COVID world? These are some of the questions we will discuss in this session today. With that said, I'm honored to welcome and invite our session chief guest, Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General of STPI, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, to give his thoughts on the subject. Dr. Rai, please.
Thank you, Mr. Arun Karna. First of all, I must congratulate IAC and IC for organizing this very seminar. And I must express my gratitude for affording an opportunity to me to be with you, eminent speakers like you, experts from various fields. So it's a matter of honor and privilege for me. The topic has been so aptly chosen, like leveraging service sector to trigger post-COVID-19 economic recovery. And that is something which is on everybody's mind. As introduced by Arun Karnji, in fact, during this COVID-19 pandemic caused lockdown, India has seen a lot of transformation and disruptions, both. You also referred about digital readiness of this nation, and that was actually validated and tested during this time. We know that India fast-tracked its internet penetration, digitization at the grassroots level, taking the broadband and internet connectivity to every nook and corner of this country to the best possible manner. And actually that made India ready to face any such onslaught that happened during this COVID-19 caused lockdown. Since we had a very strong IT services industry in India, that has once accelerated or speeded up creation of India Stack based on Aadhaar or a digital payment interface called Bhim UPI. It also actually caused and speeded up digitization in the governance. Whether it is government e-marketplace or GSTN network or such other automation that happened across the government. So all these transformations were actually led by the IT industry, and because of the cost arbitrage and talent that we had within India, that actually had actually created a kind of foundation, and that was actually capitalized and leveraged during this pandemic, COVID-19 caused lockdown. It actually helped us to quickly adopt to the new norms, digital adoption all across. And during this period, where as we witnessed the onslaught on the sectors like travel, tourism, hospitality, and all. But at the same time, we also have witnessed the transformation in terms of, Mr. Arun mentioned about the quick transformation in education technology sector, wherein we immediately resorted to online classes, digital platform for delivery of education to the pupils. We also experienced during that time that we not only require collaborative platform, but we want to have in times to come much more immersive content, much more animated content to make the things so realistic. And therefore, the planners and the stakeholders at large in this nation have got some clues and ideas during this period as to where they want to take this country forward. And that is going to create a lot of opportunity for the technology intervention and capitalization on emerging technology to digitize the entire education sector. You also mentioned about health tech. Quickly the people and the patients at large at a very diversified geographic location, they access the doctor's consultation, medical consultation, and during this period, you also know that a lot of unicorns were actually born and grew because of this whole opportunity that came in front of them. The fintech sector, meditech sector, edutech sector were the largest beneficiaries. During this period, we also realized that the entire landscape of the businesses has to be changed with the quick digital adoption. And therefore, as everybody knows that India is a huge country with 1.3 billion people. And this has actually, caused generation of huge data. We can see that the several social media-based companies have turned themselves into unicorns. As I always mention that during this period, educational technology sector, medical technology sector, fintech, and all such sectors have seen emergence of unicorns because of the large user base that India provides to them. And that actually has matured the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem in this country. If we look at, if you like to see the kind of examples we have, the kind of data we have, during 2020 itself, when we were facing this COVID-19 pandemic issues, during this period itself, we added 20 unicorns, taking this number to 38. And we thought that the journey would now be slowed in times to come. But when we look at the kind of entrepreneurial success, startups success in the technology landscape has been shown by our young boys and girls and entrepreneurs of this nation. We have added another 50 unicorns in the beginning of year 2021. And this story is every day growing. And that shows that this digital adoption and digital readiness that India had before, powered with the IT services industry, which still provides the cost arbitrage about Ms. Mamta Medireddy was just mentioning in the back row. This cost arbitrage, the IT services industry's talent, because this IT services industry of India moved up the value chain. Actually, it is now an R&D services industry. R&D is a service industry. Most of the captive R&Ds are lying in India, and India IT industry is actually powering the creation of several technology products all across the world. And that talent, that experience actually helping Indians to convert their ideas into products in a very speedy manner. This has actually, in fact, fast-tracked the entire technology creation, IPR creation, and that has actually fast-tracked the conversion of these startups into unicorns. And that whole thing is so exciting, so optimistic, and so aspiring. We know that the challenges are there. The hospitality tourism, which was actually the most important pillar of our service sector, has badly hit, and the kind of technology now we are mastering over. Now, in times to come, we will have to actually think how we can actually make our places virtually tourable by using AR VR kind of platform, so that people can actually tour to our destination. Uh, One hand, we have hospitality sector has been badly hit, but at the same time, our food tech and other logistics kind of platforms have created a lot of wealth and job around. So on one hand, we have been hit. Other hand, we have actually grabbed this opportunity, applied the opportunity, coupled with the because of the foundation that we have in terms of digital readiness, because of the IT services industry of India, because of huge demand that we have within this nation, because the huge data we are producing wherever we are doing anything. We know that this social media platform, all these are turning, into unicorns so speedy because of the huge data they have now, and all these things are actually making ground for using the kind of technology that AI, ML, and NLPs are offering, and they are the technologies. These are the technologies which will actually define India's future in terms of adoption of technology in times to come. India is absolutely ready. Actually, India is driven by the industry of India. The government's uh, we have been growing in the terms of ease of doing business. We have been doing a lot of good things in that. And most importantly, I always look at the benefits and the foundation that IT services industry of India has offered, with 4.4 million engineers working at all levels of value chain, is still offering cost arbitrage not only to their customers abroad, but also within India. As I referred, the entire powering of technology startup ecosystem, whether it is the generation of quick India stack like biometric based identity, which is not available anywhere in the world, and which is also becoming a great foundation of development of several sectors of economy, several e-governance measures, and several norms that are not available anywhere in the world. In these use cases that are being solved by us, and that is why I am very optimistic. I am very sure that on the pillars like IT services industry, huge talent pool that we have within India, a huge market with large mass of people who are digital savvy, digitally very ready, and at the same time, India getting connected through national optical fiber network, then broadband in turns, every village, every panchayat of this nation is going to get connected. And with the kind of trials that are happening in 5G technology, the kind of digital adoption that has happened in the media and entertainment in terms of OTT platform, entire digital broadcasting framework has changed over a period of time, and that is all actually is so fast and so speedy that we are hardly able to keep the pace with it. That is actually, as I always say, that it is all industry led, people led, and that story, that journey is going to continue, and would ultimately, I would also like to mention the kind of collaboration India and US have. In fact, it is so complementary. We are working with each other, we are supporting each other, and India and US interests are so technology based. Our contribution, our collaboration lies in the field of technology. The esteemed IT industry of India works as a soft brand ambassador between both the countries, and actually offers a win-win situation for both the nation. I'm very glad to be here. I'm very sure that the eminent panelists who are here would actually make things so clearer to all of us, all the participants, all the audience that is available here. I wish a great success to IAC and IC seminar, and I'm very sure that the kind of deliberations that would happen here would make a lot of difference on the ground for the policy and planners. Thank you very much, participants.
Dr. Rai, thank you so much for your inspirational words. You're always an inspiration. And you so beautifully brought to light how our IT services industry is really, aiding the digitalization in various economic sectors. And, the proliferation of unicorns, that's a heartening story, and how not only they are aiding the digital adoption in various sectors, but they are also feeding off digital adoption. So it's like a virtuous cycle in itself. And the emergence of new technologies, which holds a lot of promise for the country, and the fact that we as a country are getting ready for it. And of course, your department has a lot of role to play in enabling that. So thank you always, Dr. Rai. With that said, it's now my pleasure and honor to invite our chief guest, Mr. Michael Rosenthal, Director North India for US Embassy, to provide his views. And always a pleasure to have Michael on board. My friend, over to you. The mic is yours, please.
Thank you so much, Arunji. Thank you for the introduction. It's great to be here again in the second session. As I mentioned, the introductory session, some of you may have heard on behalf of the U.S. mission to India, covering all of India, and my North India office, which leads engagement with 6 states and 2 territories of the country. It's really an honor to take part in this summit, and particularly in the information technology session, alongside distinguished speakers, including you, Mr. Kanner, Dr. Rai, Ms. Madhireddy, Mr. Purohit, and Mr. Thakur. I'm excited to learn from all of you and to take the ideas from the summit forward. I'm also grateful to Kashish Tyagi and everyone at the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce North India Council. We appreciate the continuing partnership with the Embassy and the North India office that we've enjoyed with the IACC over the years, working hand in hand to support US and Indian companies in fostering stronger trade ties between our 2 countries. I would again request that my remarks be considered off the record, not for attribution. And I'd again like to say a few words in Hindi, if you don't mind. आज आपके साथ होने के दूसरे निमंत्रण के लिए धन्यवाद. ये फिर से मेरे लिए सम्मानजनक बात है. Information technology, इस शिखर सम्मेलन का विषय महत्वपूर्ण है. विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी मजबूत और स्थायी भारत अमेरिका संबंधों का केंद्र है. मैं अब अंग्रेजी में बोलूंगा क्योंकि ये global business की भाषा है. Thanks. Returning to English.
There, Michael, you killed it. Absolutely killed it there.
Thank you. Yeah. So returning to English, I believe information technology is an important issue since digitalization has become vital for the sustainable and inclusive development of both the Indian and US economies. In India, I understand the information and communication technology sector, ICT, contributes over 13% to GDP, and that India's digital economy annually generates $200 billion from sources including business process management, e-commerce, domestic electronics manufacturing, digital payments, and digital communication services. As we heard today, the government of India aims to grow India's digital economy much further. In 2021, the United States accounted for over 34% of the global ICT market. But here in India, more than 1,000 US companies have established operations and generated employment for over 1 million Indians in call centers, strategic research, innovation labs, and other facilities. In 2017, the US exported over $2.2 billion in computer electronic equipment to India. Going the other way, the United States is the largest market for Indian IT services suppliers such as TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, Cognizant, and many others, who recorded $50 billion in sales to the US in 2020. I'd also like to note that many of the most popular American IT products that Indians and others around the world enjoy are provided by companies that are either founded by or headed by Indians or Indian Americans, including Google, Microsoft, Micron Technologies, MasterCard, and Adobe. So it's clearly a joint endeavor linking our 2 countries across the Indo-Pacific. I'm convinced, though, that the Indian market offers even more opportunities to global players with 1.35 billion citizens and a rising middle class. American companies are certainly excited about the prospect of millions of potential new Indian digital consumers, but also about India as a continued source of and destination for investment in manufacturing and innovation of new ideas and technologies. At the embassy, at the US Embassy, we like to say that when it comes to business, the United States is India's best friend and most important partner. As I mentioned before, it's certainly backed up by the trade numbers, as the United States is India's top trading partner in goods and services, with IT services playing a large role, and India is the United States' 9th largest trading partner. I believe that the Digital India initiative introduced by the government of India will improve digital infrastructure and internet connectivity, bringing new IT opportunities to millions. Other major government and private sector initiatives will drive growth in the ICT sector, including for unicorns, as we heard, and open more opportunities for US and Indian companies. Trade and investment flows in a country are facilitated by the efficacy of its services sector. That's certainly our experience in the United States, at least. We believe that both our countries can benefit immensely by increased trade and investment in services, given our close people-to-people ties, diaspora communities, and immense potential of our sectors, drawing on the talents of our individuals and the strength of our institutions. Our experience has shown that growth in IT services in particular helps diffuse new technology across other sectors, helps give a country such as India or the United States connections to the rest of the world, helps give chances to women in traditionally marginalized communities, and helps take advantage of and even improve linguistic skills for a global language like English. We've all experienced over the past year and a half that the IT has demonstrated the capability of solving problems that we never anticipated during the COVID pandemic. Throughout this pandemic, IT services allowed millions of people to safely work, study, and connect with friends and family, not to mention providing medical services. It has certainly not been easy, but it's also easy to imagine how things could have been much worse without the role of IT services. If anything has been good to come from this pandemic, one thing we can certainly say has been the ability of the IT providers and services and individuals to rise to this unexpected challenge. For those of you that joined the opening ceremonies or introductory session, you may have heard me mention the Indo-Pacific Forum, but I'd like to again reiterate this opportunity because we in the United States government believe this is a great example where India will co-host with the United States the 4th annual Indo-Pacific Business Forum in India this October. This year's forum will focus on economic recovery and resilience, as well as climate action and digital innovation. And we think this is a great example of the partnership bringing together our governments and private sectors, particularly in this region we share, which is at the center of the world's attention and economy these days, the Indo-Pacific. So as I close, I'd like to note that in the coming months, we again have a lot to look forward to in the IT space, including government dialogues, private sector collaborations, conferences, and other actions. As I said, India is at the center of all of the United States' major economic initiatives in the world and in this region, including tackling the climate crisis and vaccinating the world against COVID-19, including through the Quad partnership with Japan and Australia. In the United States and in India, small and medium-sized enterprises, as I understand many of the people taking part today represent, drive employment, economic well-being. We hope that these enterprises will continue to play an important role in generating employment and ideas. So we look forward to new ideas from all of you on how we can strengthen our partnership, expand our trade, promote our shared goal of ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific region. Collaboration with the private sector is certainly key to our success. I'm very optimistic about the future of the US-India relationship. As I noted, the visit of our Secretary of State Blinken this week was outstanding, covered a wide range of issues and really demonstrated the growth, but also the friendly ties between individuals driven by the diaspora and the business sector and other factors that have really come to symbolize our partnership that many have called the defining partnership of our century. I look forward to the role that the IT sector in particular will play in the coming months and years in strengthening this relationship and improving lives on both sides of the Indo-Pacific. So thank you to all of you for the role you're playing in your daily lives and for joining this summit, which is such an important opportunity to further strengthen the sector and our collaboration together. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Mr. Karna?
Technologies ecosystem, not only between the two countries, but I would say even globally in that sense. And that's all based on our shared democratic values and economic interest, if I may say so, and the two are really converging well. And you spoke so beautifully about the fact that so that was such a beautiful thought, and always, as always, very well spoken, Michael. Thank you so much for your thoughts here. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen,
Dr. Rai, I think Arun is having some problems. So can we take the questions? Maybe you can moderate by the time he is here.
Sir, I think we can go speaker-wise. Okay, we can ask Mamta to start with a session till the time we'll have Mr. Karna back. Yes. So Mr. Karna is back. Yes. So there was an internet issue.
Apologies.
No problem.
Apologies for that. I was just about to start my panel discussion, and maybe in the interest of time, I'll turn to you first, Rajesh. What are some of the challenges the manufacturing sector is currently facing in the post-pandemic era, and how can IT come to their aid, in your opinion?
Thanks, Arun. Manufacturing sector, like other industries, also have been severely impacted by the pandemic. And as I understand, the primary disruptions were demand supply, labor trouble, supply chain disruption due to travel restriction, inability to develop fail-safe data models. And all of them led to CapEx and OpEx reductions, thereby severely impacting the future growth sentiment of the industry. Even if you see a lot of surveys across globally renowned advisories also revealed that manufacturing sector is intermittent in establishing IT as a strategy enabler, and also coupled with the fact that it is a blue collar intensive sector. IT adoption and internal advocacy towards leveraging IT varies by case. However, the current pandemic was unlike anything we have ever seen before. While the priority has been to adopt to the new, it is time for intersection for the entire manufacturing industry. Manufacturing today have to look for opportunities that current crisis may offer them. It is a time to end debate whether next generation technologies that is essential to Industry 4.0 are good to have or must have. It's a very important point to look at. And if you look at some of the opportunity areas, in my opinion, I would focus on three. First, we have to be maintaining cost effectiveness while trying to resolve disruption into the entire supply chain. Second, stimulating the imagination in the workforce to invent different ways using the existing capability. Third most important point is that we should focus on harnessing process, targeting zero defect, shorter setup time and reduction, and rework to fill the current critical labor shortages. Today, we see that plants have resumed productions, countries are on the road to recovery, but with every variant, which we see now so occasionally, there are certain spikes. With the valuable time between these successive waves, industry should augment its capability to become more agile. Few days back, I was just reading a report by McKinsey. It said that companies at the forefront of Industry 4.0 adoption have more vital ability to respond to the crisis. Gartner also predicts that manufacturing company will spend close to 42 billion more on software by 2023. And it is amazing that companies have already done it in 2019 itself. Key tenets should be adopted. One is a complete flexible architecture, real-time analysis, and the third is insight from data that promotes decision-making, because today in the scenarios, decision-making becomes very, very important. And we all know that, there is a growing acceptance for the, Industry 4.0 technologies like AI, analytics, cloud, IoT, RPA, to name a few. But if I want to come back to the topic now, how can IT come to the aid? I will focus on 3 or 4 models. First is develop data models, which is the most critical part. Organization can collate data, generate insights, design plans, and execute strategies which are essential to survive. These data models, how they can help us? It can help us to build resilient supply chains, address crisis better, activate contingency planning, and fourth is reprioritize our future strategy where we want to be. Second, which is common, which everyone knows, ERPs, we have to consolidate employee, process, vendor, and payment data, right? Third is, now let's talk about automation, hyper automation. This will unlock automation potential for an enterprise through artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, right? Last but not the least, we must focus on cobots. The industry is expected to be close to $7.5 billion. Manufacturing enterprise benefit from this uniquely tailored technology to improve overall efficiency, respond to volatile demands in output volume, and also provide a very safe environment. So if I have to give an example, by leveraging the manufacturing giant Motherson, where I belong to, I believe IT can enable the industry in following. I will speak about 2 or 3 critical things. One, bring data into decision and operations. Power of analytics and business intelligence has acted as one of the radars to help stir the enterprise during these stormy times, to collect data, generate insight, design plans, and execute strategies that are essential to survive. Second thing which is becoming very important is quality compliance with hyper automation. As automation matures, companies can experience smooth processes and greater productivity. And this will happen with AI and ML, which has made significant inroads in strategic business. Now, third point is supplementing the supply chain. We have seen the disruption. Technologies like blockchain, track and trace led solution will help mitigate and manage supply chain risk generated by this pandemic. Fourth, but not the least, which I again spoke about, cobots. Manufacturing industries benefit from this uniquely tailored technology to improve overall efficiency, respond to volatile demand in output volumes, and consistently perform non-value added work. Now, if I need to conclude, technology transformation is happening. Businesses are aggressively investing into to reap benefits. However, the key point is realizing its full potential will require a very close integration of people, process, and technology. Real transformation stems from a shared vision between human brains and computer machines. So in case I need to give my final statement on this, on manufacturing industry with our experience, this posture of human-machine symbiosis is something that will require a huge transition in integrating technological advancements. I mentioned technological advancement, which is not yet realized by many businesses. And that is what I see a prominent challenge for manufacturing industry in this post-COVID era. Thank you.
Rajesh, such a great incisive insider's view of the manufacturing sector and how you linked the challenges of the industry and connected them to possible IT-based solutions. And, not only technology, but the whole gamut of people, processes, and technology. And of course, your words on the human-machine interface and interaction, extremely relevant and increasingly relevant in these times. So thank you for those.
I try doing my best for 6 to 7 minutes. Otherwise, this definitely requires an hour.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that.
All the experience we have gained by serving our own Motherson group, which has more than 300 plants in 40 plus countries. So we tried concluding what best we can, say in this few minutes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Now, coming to you, Mamta, we all know that digital transformation is as much about people, culture, and leadership as it is about technology itself. Can you elaborate in your experience how organizations, especially in your sector, which is the banking and financial services industry, how can organizations address these important aspects as well as they attempt to bounce back now and also sort of immunize themselves from possible future shocks? What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much, Arun. I think a very, very pertinent question. And I think, like Rajesh said, it's probably a topic that requires more than 6 to 7 minutes. So to your question, Arun, we could have the best of technology, right? But we don't have leaders who are able to drive and embed the digital transformation journey. If you don't have people with the right skills, and if you don't have a culture that enables a digital transformation journey, the best of technology can actually fail. So any change in an organization, whether it's triggered intrinsically or externally, large or small, is as much about people, culture, and leadership as it is about the change itself. And we have seen historically where organizations that formulate a very clear vision of the transformation and also effectively communicate it on an ongoing basis, derive disproportionate advantage in results. The role of leaders here becomes paramount as organizations build a change culture. A has to be agile, has to have an appetite to fail fast, an organization which is customer obsessed and is collaborative. And in today's world, collaboration is not just within the organization, but within the ecosystem. Now, as organizations embark on a digital transformation journey, and especially in the current times that we are living in, I think it's imperative to create a culture that fosters a growth mindset and a very measured risk-taking ability, especially in the banking space. Now, cultural transformation, all of us know, is a very complex undertaking, but the benefits outperform the investments and the efforts. And what differentiates successful organizations that manage disruption well to the organizations that do not is really the culture that permeates digital transformation and excellence. So there has to be an alignment of purpose, strategy, culture, teams, environment, systems, and their collaboration. Only when there is an alignment in all of this can organizations transform and do extremely well in these very, very difficult times. Now, organizations have to adopt a strategy that enables digital transformation in the current situation, and it's not just to basically survive and recover, but actually to succeed in the future. Now, what are the things that the organizations do? And I'll just list a few. I think most important is communicate goals with clarity. And leaders here play an extremely important role in communicating the purpose and articulating the direction of the organization. How can leaders position digital transformation as an opportunity becomes very critical. The second is encouraging and empowering employees. Now we need to create a culture that can adopt and drive digital transformation, but you can only do that when an employee feels inclusive and completely empowered to contribute and decide with a level of autonomy. The third, I would say, is fail fast and succeed smart. Well, we all acknowledge and accept that failing is a part of the process of a digital transformation journey, especially when an organization is building and driving a culture of innovation. Now, organizations should create a culture of what I personally say, celebrating intelligent mistakes and believe in the process of fail fast and succeed smart. The next is about acting fast, agile execution. I mean, Rajesh spoke about it as well. It's the key for successful digital transformation. But as leaders, they must encourage execution on innovative ideas rather than just focusing on conceptual discussions and using strategic innovation metrics. And again, Rajesh spoke about data and the importance, because what gets measured, it gets managed well. As we say, data is the new oil, and organizations and its leaders must focus on measuring the right tangibles. The sixth one, and I think the most critical one, is actually building on hybrid ideas and hypersensing ecosystems, right? There has to be a right blend of internal and external ideas for organizations to thrive in the future. Now, this just doesn't require knowledge from internal to the organization, but also from external parties, think tanks, user groups, I mean, sometimes even competition. So through these exposures, organizations can hypersense trends through co-innovation and collaboration. And when we come to people, organizations have no choice but to build a future fit capability. And that is not for the future, but for now, as the future is now. So organizations need to create a culture of constant unlearning and relearning, which requires investing in people. And how can we make learning accessible to our employees in a virtual world? I think learning in your pocket will become the mantra going forward. Now, above all of this, what does an organization stand for? The values, such as embracing diversity, adoption of ESG goals. This drives the culture within the organization, and employees will feel more aligned to such organizations. And the most important aspect that organizations and especially banks have to remember while accelerating digital transformation is sustainability. That's the key for all sectors. And like I said, specific to the banking sector, this transformation is very different to what banks have seen so far. And the one thing that COVID has taught us is the criticality of preparedness and the criticality of resilience. And it is all about a sustainable future. And banks will play a key part in the transition to a more sustainable world. Now, with the future in mind, the digital transformation strategy of banks will focus on areas where the risks are high and correspondingly enhance capabilities in those areas to become more resilient. So when we talk about digital transformation, we talk about people, culture, leadership, and the definition of one of the key ingredients of this, right? The workspace. This got disrupted on account of the pandemic. the working environment, how we manage work, how we interact, how we collaborate has changed forever. So successful organizations will be those that can not only sustain, but thrive in a culture of a remote hybrid working environment, but still continue to be more innovative, more agile, more collaborative, and more resilient. And finally, to immunize themselves against any future challenges, banks need to embrace, one, a growth mindset and a measured risk-taking ability. Co-innovation with fintechs, innovation startups, other IT companies, I think will be a very critical strategy to future-proof their business. Back to you, Arun.
Mamta has always spoken like a true leader, and you really beautifully brought out the role of culture in the success of any digital transformation initiative, and how leadership should drive that culture, communicate goals with clarity, encourage and empower employees, encourage failing fast but succeeding smart, agile execution, and build for the future with sustainability in mind. And by the way, the future is now. So extremely well spoken, as always, extremely thankful. Now, last but not least, coming to you, Anup, and you come from a large global system integrator and IT technology company. You and your corporation have been sort of helping the digital transformation journey of many clients and businesses. What digital transformation trends are you seeing in the market, and how are you playing into those trends as a system integrator or service provider?
So thanks Arun for having me over here. So let me start by I've been a banking technology professional for over 26 years, been on this side of the table, which is an IT-ES industry, only a few months. But let me kind of divide my conversation into two buckets. One is the banking side of the digital part of it, because banking has been always an early adopter of digitization. Whether it was led by demonetization, the entire payment industry got kind of disrupted, and digital took place. Digital adoption took place to a very high level, and that obviously was gone to the next level of maturity in terms of payments, digital payments through pandemic. I remember in my previous role as a banking technologist, the UPI, BHIM UPI, as Dr. Rai was talking about, we today do almost 2.7 billion transactions per month. And I remember the task given to us by MITI, particularly in my previous role, that we had to keep on increasing, and we in my previous role did almost close to 1 billion transactions every month. 40% of the Indian UPI transaction was done by Yes Bank. And obviously the other mode of payment, or the Aadhaar enabled payment services, IMPS, or you name it, were very key in terms of the digital of the payment domain. Next was also API. So a lot of focus from across the I would say, in IT-ES industry is to focus on API as a domain to ensure that the future technology. So one is, everybody talks about digitalization. You can't adopt digitalization without having your backend ecosystem to be digitally ready, or else it will be kind of everything is front end digitally and then drop on the floor. So it is important that you create the entire ecosystem architecture, your backbone, your ERPs to be digitally ready, API ready, microservices ready. So that's another focus which I am seeing across the globe coming up, and a lot of expectation out of the technology industries to ensure that they help the end user domain, whether it's a banking or a telecom or e-commerce, to make use of the API and microservices. I will not going to repeat myself in terms of the analytics and that my previous colleagues have already spoken about it, but I won't talk about it. But having said that, one of the biggest things which impacted the ITS industry is and how does ITS industry came out of is to be heard of. As pandemic hit, you know that ITS industry, the significant revenue comes from the offshoring. So we have a lot of ODCs. All the Indian IT players have a lot of ODCs, which means when you say ODCs, is a physically ring fence, technically segregated environment, which are an extension of, let's say, a bank in US sitting in let's say, Wipro in India. Now, when this pandemic hit, there was nobody who can go to this secured ODCs. Then how do you support them without compromising on the controls which the customers have set in those areas? Maybe initial couple of months it was a challenge, there was a relaxation, but obviously we can't sustain for long. So while you create a technologically secured environment from the VPN and multi-factor authentication, and so that everything is taken care of, but today our colleagues, our employees are sitting across the country in their personal residences, and you don't know, and obviously the controls and the personal residences you can't compare as when you're sitting in the office. So innovation led to things like, how can we use the camera of a laptop to see that there is no shoulder surfing happening from behind? How can you measure from camera if somebody is taking a photograph using his mobile on a personal on the customer's data? How do you ensure you do a dynamic redaction in the machines when you are sitting outside office, but when you are sitting in office, you are. So these kind of technologies led a lot of, while this may look like a trivial thing, but trust me, in ITS industry, these are one of the major things which is being looked upon today without compromising on the control, as I said, because security generally comes with user experience, but we need to ensure that how you do this without compromising it. So that was one thing. This added a huge amount of, I don't know how the real estate industry is going to work after the pandemic goes down, but all the ITS industries which are in kind of millions in numbers in terms of the employees, with the hybrid working place. Now this has opened up another, I would say, boost area for resources who are in tier 3, tier 4 cities. Typically, ITS industry were restricted to tier 1, and they were going kind of a quasi to tier 2 cities. Now it is open across tier 3, tier 4, doesn't matter. With all the controls put in place and the connectivity is available, people can work from any part of the geography. It doesn't matter. I know for sure a lot of my colleagues were working from the hill stations during this pandemic. They have taken residences for 7-month, 8-month lease and then working from hill station. So it has changed significantly. Coming back from Wipro, how Wipro is focusing on that, one of the biggest thing which Wipro is doing is cloud-led innovation and transformation. So this is one of the big area which we feel that in challenges which we run today in getting the kind of with the semiconductor industries and the trade war happening with our partners, our neighbors, we are seeing a lot of challenges in terms of getting the machines in countries and laptop desktops or so in these cases cloud plays a very big role, and Wipro has taken a leap in that. We've been globally leader in terms of whether in Azure, AWS or GCP, you name it. We've been in the Gartner's leader quadrant driving this. Wipro has already kind of announced that $1 billion of investment which we'll do in the cloud-led capabilities across this. So cloud is going to be, while cloud had already taken up a lot of, I would say, growth in prior to pandemic, but pandemic is again going to take it to the next level of kind of a maturity area. At the same time, my colleagues have also spoken about the fintechs, because that's where you will start seeing a lot of things happening, and we need to nurture those things, particularly during the pandemic period, wherein these people are running short of investment. Wipro is also focusing in terms of its arm, Wipro Ventures, to nurture these kind of fintechs, wherein we are working with multiple of them to help them to grow. So I feel that this pandemic has kind of brought a new normal, as we all know. My only worry is once things get normalized, we don't know how to get people back from home to office, because that's going to be difficult. And do we really need to get them back from home? We don't know today at this point in time. So Arun, or you.
Arun, thank you so much, and you covered so much ground in such a short time. First of all, thank you for your deep insights into the BFSI sector with your vast experience in that sector. You made such a great point that for it to be successful in that sector, the backend systems have to be digitally ready, and the great role that APIs and microservices would play in that success. So That's an extremely important point. And coming to the IT sector, the challenges suddenly brought about almost overnight by the physical aspects of the business being broken, teams not having to access to ODCs, which were like client specific, and
Absolutely.
how you overcame that as an industry almost overnight, enabling work from home in a secure environment and using all kinds of innovations, video analytics and what have you, to make sure that the control and security part of it was not compromised at all, and clients' data and their businesses stayed secure.
Sir, we are less than a minute. I'm so sorry.
Absolutely. So just winding up now, and great point about the proliferation of consuming endpoints or in this work from anywhere environment, and how that has necessitated a cloud-led innovation globally, and you are at the forefront of it anyway. So great thoughts there. And as you can see, unfortunately, we would have loved to go on and on here. We were just possibly getting started here, getting warmed up, but it's already time. So my extreme gratitude to all the esteemed panelists and speakers here. It was a wonderful, insightful session. And with that, I say thank you to all. Stay in touch, and I hand the control back to the admin. So Kashish and Tajinder, you have control, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.